Well, hello again. It's been a little while, hasn't it, since the last post? Sorry about that. I've just been very busy with my nonprofit group, the Humanity Project. I'm the founder of that, as you may know, and the author of 25 books, and the latest is this one, Beyond Me, Dissecting Ego to Find the Innate Love at Humanity's Core, a New Psychology as Philosophy. All right, well, we're here to talk about both psychology and philosophy in this episode. You probably know, if you have studied either one of those areas very much, even just kind of Psych 101 or particularly Philosophy 101, you may have gotten into the classic discussion about free will versus determinism. Do we as human beings have the freedom to really choose our destinies, or are we pushed around? Are we, to use the analogy, the old thing about a sailor adrift at sea? Are we just in the lifeboat getting knocked around by the waves and really there's nothing we can do? We either end up on land or we don't. Or do we have oars and we can help determine our destiny? Mixing words there, determinism meaning, of course, cause and effect, and everything is caused. And free will, of course, meaning I have the freedom to choose. I can row those oars and help decide my own fate. Well, I believe I have an original argument that is part of this book. Just a small part of it. This is, as you can see, a 600-page book. It took me 5 years to write and literally 45 years to research. I'm 66 years old now. So obviously I was doing some other things during the time. I wasn't only doing that research, but it was a part of my life, my personal life, my professional life, and I've taken notes and everything for all those 45 years. So let's just talk a little bit about free will versus determinism and what my book has to say about that. I won't be able to get through all of it, but I'm going to read some chunks. And yes, I have to take my glasses off, you may remember, in order to read. Anyway, I have for a long time. It's not because I'm 66. Since my 30s, I guess, I had to do that. Anyway, so here is part of the discussion in Beyond Me. And I think it's in a chapter heading called Unfreely Free, as I recall. Yes, Unfreely Free. Several paragraphs down, this is where I go with this discussion. When still in college, I soon adopted the belief that everything is determined. Somewhat later in my 20s, as I remember, I found it necessary to shift my position because free will seemed so central to living a healthy life. After this, I more or less vacillated back and forth for many years, often agonizing at great length over the issue, until I reached a conclusion that surprised me. Both things are true, simultaneously. That's still what I believe. Of course, this seems a paradox, the ideas appearing mutually exclusive. Things are caused or they're not. We have some measure of control over life, or we don't. For a long while, I felt that the apparent paradox literally existed. Both free will and determinism were realities of human life. The dividing line I saw was time, whether we looked backwards at events that already happened or ahead at events that hadn't happened. These days, I hold a similar but more subtle notion based on my personal experience. I believe that all things are the result of enormous complexes of cause and effect, including who I am, what I am, and all the quanceps and vericeps and thoughts and emotions and feelings and words and deeds that pass through me. My life is determined. I'm going to pause here to mention that those words that are unfamiliar to you will be familiar if you read the book. Quanceps and vericeps are two of the new concepts that I have created to express what I believe is the functioning of the mind. And so you'll have to read it. Anyway, continuing. Free will exists as well. Anyone who has felt this surge of power and confidence would know what I mean. And it's not sensible for me to deny free will's existence in my life. I've experienced it. So determinism and free will do indeed coexist in my judgment. Here's where the subtler side of my notion comes in as I see it. Within me, free will is a feeling, a psychological reality. It seems a vitally important state of mind for my well-being as I try to take my life where I want it to go. But I believe this state of mind itself is caused, and its presence simply causes healthier, more desirable effects than feeling like a hopeless victim. I view free will and its benefits, then, as among the more helpful results of nature's causes and effects, including all those psychological causes I've detailed so far in this book. That's how I experience the free will versus determinism question. Free will's an illusion in a real sense, but an essential one to maintain. And to do that, I must believe sincerely that it exists. I call this the free will paradox. The very instant I truly adopt a belief that free will is real, my whole attitude changes and most definitely elevates my life. I have taken responsibility for where I am at this moment and where I will go in the moments to follow. That sense of responsibility does many things. I feel powerful and effective. I feel confident and hopeful. I can see new and realistic opportunities to create change, convinced I can make them happen. The fundamental feelings of individual value that I so incessantly seek are strengthened greatly. I view life as more manageable, diminishing the rage that constantly thrums through my psyche. Free will sustains me as I move forward, bolstering the persistence that's crucial to any significant accomplishment or worthwhile change. All these benefits, along with the other pluses of free will, usually cause a better outcome for me. Free will means I can create a good life if I try. So that is part of the discussion in this book, and it's a small part of it. But what I want you to understand is that this paradox is something that one can learn to apply to their everyday life. And I'm going to skip over a little bit and talk about that just briefly. And then if you want to understand more thoroughly all of these things, including these ideas of quanceps and vericeps and all of that, I hope you'll buy the book. So I talk about living the paradox. But even during those times when I lack a strong sense of control over my future, the free will paradox is useful in the everyday. It influences my view of myself, my life, every other person, and everything that happens. Fairly useful indeed, all of that. At a practical level, the paradox of responsibility as I understand it shakes out to this way of looking at things. Everything that has happened up to this instant had to happen. It was caused, determined. But the future can be changed through effort. It is subject to human will. In this way, determinism and free will are reconciled for me, sharing a sensible, constructive coexistence. I find that this concept reflects the reality of my world as I know it, both my interior world and the world around me. The free will paradox works. It doesn't matter that I really believe the future also is determined. Information and emotion will combine to form desire or deep wanting in my vocabulary. Another critical, I'm taking a side here, another critical concept, new word, new concept that is central to this book. Information and emotion will combine to form desire or deep wanting that will cause all the effects that emanate from me. This will happen according to the psychological forces I've been laying out. Many things will flow together in incomprehensibly complex configurations to cause other things in my mind, in my behavior, in my life. I believe the same is true of every other person. all that they will be and all that they will do entirely caused. And I believe everything in nature happens in similar ways, resulting from the wondrously complicated interaction of many preceding causes and effects. It is a viewpoint that I have gained from a lifetime's passion for science. Things are caused. Everything may well be determined, including me, but to believe I have no control doesn't work in practice, no matter how true this may be in reality. That's because more important realities necessitate that I assume responsibility for the future, the realities of my mind, to live productively and healthfully. That is, healthfully. I must feel my own power to cause change. I have to believe in free will. And free will is real. It is real because it's an experienced state of mind, as I outlined above, a feeling that causes healthier, more desirable effects than feeling like a hopeless victim. It's a discernible reality of the human psyche. I am very aware when it's there and equally aware when it's not. I suspect you are too. Doubtless each of us knows what it's like to feel in control or out of control. So that's just a partial discussion of one significant but still relatively small issue that is addressed in Beyond Me. So I hope that you may want to go out and take a look at the book. You can look through some of it on Amazon for free, and you can buy it if you like. And I hope you'll like to do that and find out more about this. And I'm going to be back in another episode, hopefully sooner than the last time, and we'll talk more about some of the ideas in Beyond Me, dissecting ego to find the innate love at humanity's core, a new psychology as philosophy. Let this book take you through all those doors, one after another, more and more deeply into your psyche, into understanding yourself, into gaining greater control over your life, and understanding why you have this tendency towards self-doubt, self-sabotage, and what you can do about it. That's what Beyond Me is really about. Thanks for being here and enjoying, I hope, this latest episode on YouTube, our YouTube channel for Beyond Me the book. And we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.